Hey neighbors, welcome back to the channel. This is Anarchy in the 603, and you're in for yet another postcard from your friendly neighborhood anarchist. Absolutely nobody's favorite D-tier production quality, semi-unedited, this time off-dome, dispatched from wherever I'm sitting right now to wherever you happen to be, and currently, as usual, sitting in my backyard. So yesterday I posted a video that was a literal expression of a metaphorical storm that I've had brewing in my body, mind, and soul for the last, oh gosh. Well, it coalesced 4 years ago, but something like that, that vision that I had at the time of my surrogate sibling Leo's passing, something like that vision of the anarchist incubator has been sort of a pet little mind baby of mine for a while. So basically, accessibility. That's something that has been on my mind a lot lately. There's a video, I'm going to have to grab the link and post it in the description, but it definitely radicalized me in the way that I thought about autism when I first watched that video. I think about, well, it was posted 18 years ago, but I think I maybe found it maybe 3 years after it had been posted. And I didn't know I was autistic then. Many of my friends and found family near, local and all over the country and world, fortunately for me, a lot of the people in my life back then, I didn't know they were autistic either, and neither did they. But one thing that we all are is brilliant communicators in whatever language it is that we find our most easily navigable route for self-expression. We are hidden autistics out there in the world, living and thriving and having families, usually large circles of fellow neurodivergent people. And we are, by and large, I mean, we cross cultures, we cross colors, we cross class lines. In fact, it's those of us down on the margins who don't have the resources for diagnosis that usually slip through the cracks just as much as the amiable geniuses who quietly find their ways into jobs like network engineering fly under that same radar, going undiagnosed for large chunks of their lives, if not the entirety thereof. I mean, every town has got that old eccentric who maybe never got married, but, worked a quiet 9-to-5 job in some STEM field and has like $1.5 million worth of train gear, like, model trains in his basement and garage that he's got set up like a tiny little detailed city. And one of his pet hobbies is writing in like long letters to the newspaper editor about the deplorable state of our street signs and street lights these days. But no one ever pegged him as neurodivergent because he didn't need a helmet. And by and large, neither do I. I mean, life's hard. I've got a metaphorical helmet for that, but no, man, I'm not incapable. I'm not unintellectual. Not to, like bang on my own brass or anything, but I am wicked smart, kids. And, I don't fly under the radar so well because of that anymore, because I'm not crushing it down anymore. I'm not masking anymore. I'm done with it. Because, all right, Stroman, if you're watching this right now, remember at Bryn's wedding, I don't know, you were kind of drunk. We all were. And we were sitting around that fire, or I think it was on a peninsula in Rappahannock. on an old dirt road that looked like it was like leading to where we hide the bodies or something. And I'm sitting there in my unicorn hoodie with the bi flag colors, literally a bisexual unicorn hoodie. And I forget what t-shirt it was, but it was one of my goofy ass t-shirts that I wear when I'm traveling. And you said to me, Kim, you are where manic pixie dream girls go to die. And I was roasty toasting my feet at the fire at the time, to the point where they almost smelled like a burning Michelin. But I remember laughing my ass off to the point where I nearly fell out wherever I was sitting on. And yet I didn't really think about how profound that statement was, in a sense, at the time. Because essentially, fucker, you're right. I am. Really? Really? Well, can't blame you. It's the middle of the day. Anyway, so yeah, where was I? Well, here's where I was. You ever wonder what happens when you take that manic pixie dream girl trope from Elizabethtown and Garden State and 1,000 Days of Summer, you know, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost in the Trinity that is MPDG films, and the genre at large? Well, you ever notice those films never really ask how she got that way? She was just sort of treated as a sort of a creature that blows into someone's life and teaches some poor schlub how to love before he fucks it up somehow, or she dies. Well, if you turn that trope on its head, shake that snow globe around, and let the snow fall where it may, and you actually analyze how she got that way, you end up with someone a lot like me. We do exist, and two of the closest found family members, that one of whom ended up actually extending my family line, my grandson's mom, and one of my surrogate sisters, and myself, we are part of that living MPDG, like, crew of people out there. I don't know, like, what to call ourselves, but a flock of fairies, I fucking guess. Anyway, and we're not the only hidden autistics out there, but our podcast is going to be deconstructing the MPDG trope. But back around the egg, to the point, that's who I've always been. And to touch on another egg in my baker's half dozen up here of thoughts that I'm kind of fiddling around with, is that a lot of us hidden autistics, the living MPDGs, the like extremely intense DJs, the like really dedicated, passionate social workers, the enthusiastic science communicators, the costumers, the musicians, the movement artists, performance artists. So many of us are neurodivergent, and yet nobody knows, and maybe even they themselves don't realize it, because it's been such a demonized and understudied, and god damn it, you guys. But yeah, since so many of us fly under the radar, and we really are getting more information under our belts as to what neurodivergence really is, well, the more that I see it, the more that I realize that we truly are cross-culturally, cross-class, cross-color, cross everything, in every culture of humanity. We are the dreamers, doers, visionaries, science geniuses, fucking mathematicians. We are those weird specialists. Allistics, y'all, you guys serve an important role in humanity, in the speciesization of humanity, and you are no less important and no less intellectually capable. It's just, if y'all are the doctors of life, allistic people, then autistics are the specialists. And whatever our special interest happens to be, we are gifted with the fuel and the fire inside of us to pursue it to its utmost. Like, very few people outside of the neurodivergent community have the 10,000 hours of give a fuck enough capable inside of us to make us truly master whatever it is that we love so much with such a passion, whatever that it might be. Like, I cannot tell you how many times so many people have said to me, I don't understand why you care so much about this. And it's like, don't you see why it's so fascinating? Anyway, some of us just happen to have, like Leo happened to have the same kind of Gotta inside of him that I do when it comes to so many things, the writing, the art, both, visual and just general. Like, he was one of the most brilliant polymaths I ever knew. And so much of who I am today, so much of what inspired me today to be who I am, unabashedly and unashamed, couldn't have been without him. And that's why this greater vision that I have for this brick and mortar incubator that I want to create, this community space for connection based on the ethics of permaculture and social anarchism, and giving love back to folks who frequently go through their lives feeling unloved and unlovable and unrelatable. I want to give you all a space back where you can relate to each other and find community. And I'm going to be dedicating the workspace in the heart of it all, every area, the kitchen, that's going to be dedicated to my brother Scott, Chef Scotty's Dream Kitchen. And I'm going to have classes there. And it's going to not be, I can't afford a commercial kitchen yet, but that's a dream. That's on the list. And the workspace, the big creative hangout space that's adjacent to, like, I want the lounge to be the lounge of loathing. Because, as paradoxical as that may sound, some of the most love I've ever gotten, I have received in the kingdom of loathing, a game where I met so many of my longest term friends and first started to find access to get my voice to the world and my vision and my dreams and my selfless yet selfish desires. And I'm not saying they are selfish because I want to do it. This is partially for me, obviously. I mean, I get satisfaction out of it. Therefore, it is technically for me, but it's not. It's really for everybody. It's really for all of y'all to say thank you. Thank you, everyone who's loved me and who's believed in me and who has accepted me, even though I've been awfully hard to understand. Even though I've just been living my life with my heart on my sleeve out here in plain sight the whole time. I want to say thank you, and I believe that I have the got to do it, the need to do it, the drive, the desire, and the, Jane of all trades mentality, the resourcefulness and the resilience that I have received through my ancestry and my family and through observation of folks that I admire. Knowing people the way that I do, knowing that I have, I know a person, one of the best nurses that I know, her name's Tanya, and I met her husband first, and I was wondering, why was this guy hiding her light under a barrel away from us for so long? But it turns out she's just shy. She's shy, but she's a brilliant pulmonary nurse, among other things, and she has got a yarn and fiber arts craft room and skill with those hands like nothing I have ever seen. And Tanya and Jeff, man, you had your kids young and you started early, but you've done amazing amazing things with your family. And I think to myself, like, what if I had had the kind of familial supports and, like, parents that weren't survivors of generations upon generations of generational trauma? Like, what if I had had the resources, the community, the space where I could feel free to create and dabble and pull all the threads of the disparate parts of my creative self and mind together, where I didn't have to worry about funding, where I didn't have to worry about permission, where I didn't have to worry about anyone backing me up, because honestly, all of my best work has always been done alone in like a basement, curled up crisscross applesauce like a gremlin, bent desperately and passionately over whatever it is that I am birthing out of this incubator of creative eggs that I am. Because honestly, like, I've only had like one biological son and one failed pregnancy that I'm aware of, but I have a shit ton of bonus kids out there in the world. Y'all know who you are, and mama loves you fiercely and endlessly. And like, I have been, I'm getting to perimenopause now. My cycles are no longer as clockwork as they used to be. And I tell you what, I am glad that those literal eggs are no longer going to be a factor in any sense in my life, because I don't want to even slow down for a period. Because this part of my life, hold on a second. Yes, thank you. Oh, every so often, these earbuds will kick in, and I've been listening to a lot of, like, MF Doom and Wu-Tang lately, and, like, De La Soul and, Tribe Called Quest, like a lot of that genre, like lyrical rap, and that sort of methodical boom bap rhythm. Anyway, every so often, for some reason that I can't quite fathom, these earbuds will suddenly start playing whatever I had in my other audio programs in my ear, and it's almost like a little rat-tat-tat-tat to, like, let me know that, yeah, we're working on something here. This is important. Like, I see patterns everywhere in everything, and that's why I've never been able to really sit there and, like, focus on one artistic endeavor, because like, with the way that my synesthesiac self sees and feels and hears everything, well, there's just too much. Like, every art piece, like, if I do a 3D piece, there's, like, when I look at it, I hear the sounds inside of me that I was humming along to internally while I was creating it. Like, almost like that, like the at the beginning of the movie theater during the THX promo, stuff like that. Like, I live an internal and external life in a movie theater of my mind, and, like, what if other weird kids like me had a space where they didn't have to worry about fucking funding and shit, right? So yeah, back around the egg, now that I got back up to speed, the Anarchist Incubator Industries compound of creative spaces that I want to launch, essentially, those are the eggs of, metaphorically, of, like, community building that I have been pregnant with inside of me for 4 years, ever since Leo died so suddenly. And where I've been, by and large, I mean, some of y'all have seen me here and there emerging from my hobbit hole in the ground, where I've dug myself into since my brain broke. Yeah, like, I spend most of my time in the basement floor of my house, like, setting my own insides and outsides to rights, while I buckle down and actually collect this lightning inside of me, inside of a fucking mason jar, where I can just take out a dose when I need to, tap into it, instead of being completely continually fried by it and being able to sustain an output that won't result in me having quite literal seizures from how much I have to keep in. Because as you've seen from my last video, I have a lot of output, guys. So yeah, let this be my still, I mean, I guess you could say I'm still manic, but what I really am is I'm just not depressed anymore. And I'm angry. I'm angry that I have been working since I was 11. I started working for the man when I was 16 on paper. And the only time that I stopped working was for 4 years when my husband, that I still love, despite the shifting dynamics of relationships over time, I still love him. And this man, yeah, you working, he did too. He was deployed for 4 years. Post 9/11, which happened on the day of my son's 4-month well baby checkup. Irony. Yeah, he was deployed protecting the base while most of Pease was out there in the air fueling wing, flying some of the most flight hours out of any unit in the National Guard or all armed services during the War on Terror because of the location they happened to be on the map. And so I got to be a stay-at-home mom for those years, and then I went right back into work, and I've been working ever since until my brain broke. And now with all the instability that's out there in the world, well, frankly, I felt a fire under my ass to, as all of the political climate has been doing its thing, and my disability hearing for my SSDI, because can you honestly imagine me working with people with a brain like this right now? I haven't eaten more than 500 calories a day, maybe 700 at most, in 6 or 7 days, you guys, because I haven't been able to slow down enough more than just shove like a piece of bread in my mouth. We're an ingredients house, not like a convenience meals house. Because, finances being what they are, and I also prefer to be an ingredients house, but I don't mind having some snacks and protein shakes and stuff around for when I get like this, but I can't afford them, so guess what I do? I will grab a piece of cheese from the fridge in passing, I'll grab a piece of bread, and I will shove them in my mouth when I'm thinking about it, and the hunger pangs get bad enough, and I start to feel my energy flag. I don't have time to spend cooking, because I'm cooking elsewhere in this whole thing. I'm brilliant. I'm intellectually capable, but by God, there's no fucking way that I am near enough of a put-together person to work a fucking job. I am certified crazy. Certified and certifiable. But aid has been largely inaccessible to me, and I have been fighting for it for 4 years, and that's despite having excellent insurance this whole time. And here I am, my brain having broken further, after having a really, really, really big revelatory brainstorm, and then, immediately, either that night or the night after, the days were kind of a blur. Finding out that one of my closest long-term found family members had suddenly passed out of fucking nowhere when I had just seen him a few weeks prior. Well, this egg had hatched, and it was like the fist of a... I can't say that God's apathetic or benevolent or anything. God is just kind of like nature. God just is, y'all. It's that universal force that drives all of this, the everything behind the everything, the clockwork behind the clockwork, and I felt like I got punched by that God, quite literally in the full-on middle of my face, and it busted me wide open. And with all the instability in the world, and all of it happened to coalesce at the same freaking time that my hearing is coming up in just a few days now, well, I finally felt it imperative that I start spinning up my plates and get to cracking. And here's the thing. All right, hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta piss. So yeah, all of a sudden I finally started seeing and kind of pulling together the threads of how I'm going to work on this whole project of mine. Basically, the origin story of how this brain came to be, a lot of the memories are too painful to touch, and I kind of have to poke at them with a stick and run away, lest they come like burbling back alive, like at the end of a horror movie when you thought that you shot the thing enough, but he ain't really dead, and he comes rising up like, bleh. Yeah, that's how some of my earlier core memories are for me. And autobiographically speaking, one shot, let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. Yeah, not for me, kids. Not for me. And, yeah, so what's easiest for me is to work in the immediate now. Part of being a Taoist is accepting things as they are in the moment, staying present in the moment, and dealing with things like, skill saw being employed down the street to do some construction. Like, things are as they are sometimes, but that doesn't mean that's the way they have to be. So instead of sending walls of brainstorm text to the people in my life that I'm thinking about all the time, every single one of you is like another record in the vinyl of my heart, and like the vinyl stash, that is, my record collection. And instead of spinning my plates like a circus performer, wobbling them on sticks and trying to keep the plates from falling and crashing, instead, whenever I think about a story I want to tell, I'm going to write it in the form of an open letter in a Google Doc. Every story that I write to every person is going to be a subchapter. Like my friend Alpo, he's always been one of the most kind and empathetic and understanding people I know. And they're like, just, they're just an unbelievable human. And I love her so much. And Alpo, like, you're probably going to be the one that I talk to in my letters about, being a surprise autistic parent of an autistic child. I touched on it briefly in my video, where are all these autistic kids coming from? But yeah, like, I know that you've felt so invisible a lot of the times in your life for so long, and like, we're not invisible, we're just camouflaged, So yeah, every time I write a letter, that's going to be a subchapter. Each person gets their own. And then I'm going to record each letter section on YouTube, because when somebody passes, first it's the voice, then it's the movement, then it's their appearance, and then finally, lastly, it's their scent and the taste of their cooking. And a lot of my closest people have never even met me in person, but I cook best metaphorically, even though I'm a great cook, literally. And synesthesiacally, I concoct my words by cooking them inside of me, bringing them up to a boil, and serving them out to you on the platter of my tongue. Serving utensils being my lips. Filipino people always point with their lips after all. And yeah, these are the kinds of things that I compose on the fly for you guys. And so even though you've never tasted my cooking, you've been tasting it all along. And hopefully, if I start generating income from the videos that I've been making and the podcasts that I'm planning to launch, one of them is currently in process. Like, we're going to be recording at some point when we actually have time to set down, not stressed. Probably right after my disability hearing, so I have something to distract myself with while I wait. yeah, if that's an income generator, then I'll be able to start socking money aside so I can start seeking grant money and, you know, like charitable donations and stuff to start setting up and looking towards purchasing a place to actually make the space happen. You guys, I'm working here too. Anyway, but yeah, after that, with enough community involvement, like, how many artists do you know have way too many supplies that they over purchased, or they know they're never going to use before they finish it up, or they've moved to a different phase in their artistic output and they're not going to use it, or they have stuff that they're more than happy to share half of what they've got, or how many grannies pass away and they leave it behind, their entire like art and craft collection. You don't want to throw that out, but you know, none of the kids or grandkids are really into it. Well, now you'll have a space to put it, man. None of us have enough space to hoard all of the nifty things that we freaking like magpie together in our little collections, because you know how we autistics love to collect shit. Autistic artists especially. And even autistics who don't collect art supplies collect things like graphic tees or like model airplanes or something. Either way, it ain't hoarding if it's cool shit, and if you get enough cool shit together of like items, that's a collection. None of us have enough space to donate or keep or to hold none of us have enough space to hold all the cool shit that we hoard or would love to see something happen with. Now there'll be a place for it. You know, and I know that I've got a lot of friends who didn't have kids, but had really wonderfully fulfilling lives. And maybe they had kids and their kids are doing really well, but these people are, you know, they've got great paying jobs and careers that are very fulfilling, but, you know, you want an organization that you know for a fact the money is going where it's going. Well, I believe in the way of ultimate candor, complete and ultimate candor, transparency 100%, and run entirely on social anarchist values of consensus and of, you know, non-hierarchical structure. And literally, like, my YouTube channel, hopefully that'll be something that I can live on along with my disability, just a little nugget, and everything else. Just like when Filipino people send the balikbayan box home, or they send like a third of their income home back to the Philippines, I want to be putting as much of my life, and my time into this project and organization. My therapist has been wanting me to write my autobiography for a while as well, and maybe through these videos, sharing these chapters of it, I can finally get a permanent record of the things that I want to share about my past life and the life that I'm living currently, and then maybe finally be able to pull the pages together and make an illustrated, annotated omnibus of it all. Almost like a House of Leaves style tome, but a little less deliberately convoluted in a slightly more scholarly style. And maybe that'll be interesting enough to actually net me a book deal, but either way, I'm certainly going to want to kickstart it on my own. Yes, I'm disabled. There's no way that a person like me can work in the world for someone else without extreme accommodations. For the last couple of months, I've been volunteering my time at a local cobbler shop. And I mean volunteering. Like, I earn nothing. Like, he occasionally gives me a little bit of gas money, but that's enough for like 2 tanks of gas, and I spend about 4 tanks per month. So, you know, he's paying for half of my gas essentially, which is a great subsidy, but I'm spending my time with him and, you know, his boys at the shop, learning how to cobble and cobbling my own mind back together. And like, he doesn't care what, like, basically, he doesn't care when I show up as long as I let him know whether or not I'm coming. He doesn't care whether I take some weeks off. He doesn't care if I show up manic as long as I can get some, not get in anybody's way of getting stuff done. And when I came in exploding at hyper speed verbally like I did in that video yesterday, he's been seeing me like that for 3 days in a row at that point, and the only thing he was worried about me. Just making sure that I'm okay. I may not be earning any money there, but I'm earning so much in companionship and acceptance and learned skills, and I'm giving him something back for his time and effort and energy put into me, and it feels valuable and good to me that I've had that outlet where I've been able to be as weird as possible. Like, I can actually get weirder, but as weird as I can possibly get while still being out there in the world and contributing of my time and my skills and my heart. And yeah, I really care for those guys a lot. Like, I really feel like they are part of this found family that I've been cobbling together. And that man has inspired me because when he was just a little bit older than I am now, he took the leap because he'd been wanting to live the dream of live, work, and worship in the same town and work for himself. And he's got a business that is steadily growing. And the amount of stuff that we get shipped into us all the time, even when walk-in traffic is down, it's inspiring. It really is. Like, it's already going into the second generation because his son's been working there since he was 12. And that guy is unbelievably skilled and passionate about what he does. Like, he's just in his own happy little realm back there when he's making shoes and, making shoes happen. Not making, because cordwaining is making shoes, cobbling is fixing them. But yeah, and second generation is training up some helpers, and my mentor is teaching me, and hopefully I'll be able to continue volunteering my time watching this family business continue into its second, hopefully maybe third or more generations. Like, I have community, and they like me even though the version of me that they met was a much quieter and slower version of the person that they've been hanging out with the last 3 days. And yeah, if he can make it happen, I can make this big vision happen. And even though he's much more conservative than I am politically, that doesn't change anything between us either, because ethically, my mentor and I are cut from a very similar cloth, sturdy as full grain leather. And we are steadfast in our ethics and our moral code and our compassion and our dedication for taking care of lost souls, may they be literal or metaphorical. And so, even in these uncertain political times, despite him being a Republican and me being a fiercely independent anarchist who believes in full consensus democracy and a bunch of other fringe leftist things like that, like, single-payer health care and whatever. Because you cannot have a permanent culture without taking care of, first off, the planet that you live on, second off, the people that live on the planet, and third off, without sharing it as equitably amongst those folks who need it, like who need help as we can. Because, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I'm not saying that we should abolish, personal comforts or certain living standards, but more empathy and more kindness, even a drop in the bucket of some of the wealth, a drop in the bucket of the wealth pile of some of the wealthiest people in this country could virtually eradicate extreme poverty in this country alone without any appreciable loss to the quality of life of those billionaires at the top. But ideologically, they just refuse to budge, But if someone as staunchly conservative as my mentor and I can find common ground and genuinely care about each other, I have hope for the future of our country, man. Because a lot of folks underneath all of the ideology share same ethics. They're getting their information from different sources, and they're going about exercising in public life, political life, those codes in a different way. And yeah, like there are so many branches to why I've been offline, what I've been doing, the community outreach that I've been doing just by being myself and saying, because I love my purple state. I love how we can be so, yes, I know, so different on some things politically, some ideas, but so similar in others. And I feel like if there are more people out there that can work as bridges between these ideologies and really just look at the ethics underneath, then we can finally get somewhere. Anyway, yeah, I've been inspired. I've been shown a path by someone who has made his dream work. And I'm going to make it happen, you guys. It's going to be weird. It's going to be idiosyncratic. It's going to be self-funded and self-propelled, and I don't know how much time I've got left, but I'm putting my all into it. So neighbors near and far, found family, blood family, friends, people I've just bumped into once or haven't bumped into for years, if you've been worried about me, especially since that last video, well, shoot me a line. DM me, ask me for my number, or whatever messenger service you prefer. I'm on Signal, I'm on Telegram, I'm still got, Snapchat, Messenger. I prefer not Instagram messages because they're local to the app. There's not like a separate messaging. So that's kind of janky for me because I don't like going into social media apps unless I genuinely have a reason to. And of course, primarily, you can find me on YouTube. Postcards from the Friendly Neighborhood Anarchists. Friendly Neighborhood Anarchist. My off-dome deliveries from wherever I may be. And yeah, I'm not always going to be going at lightning speed. There'll be a lot of times, most of the time, where I'm going to be going at a pretty average pace because I got a destination I need to get to, but I want people to be able to keep pace or catch up, So, I love you guys. Wish me luck. I don't have many more days left till this hearing. It's next week. And I'm anxious as hell, but I'm also pretty fed up. And, if the safety net's not going to catch me, then I've got to be the princess that saves myself, right? Anyway, I love all of you. And I'll catch you in the next dispatch. Take care, neighbors.